Have you ever wondered why some women are willing to give their most intimate moments to their man, not out of obligation, not to please him, but because deep down they genuinely desire to do it? And have you ever thought, maybe that intimacy isn't just about the physical? Maybe it's like a silent language, a way for a woman to express trust, affection, and deep connection through every touch, every glance, every private moment. In those moments, what makes her open up isn't your appearance, but the feeling of being safe in your heart. Today, I'm not here to share quick tips or happiness formulas packed into a few catchy lines. I want to invite you to join me on a journey to explore a truth that most men have never fully understood. Perspective drawn from the life of a 92-year-old woman, someone who has lived through nearly every turn in a marriage, who speaks not from theory, but from her own life. She doesn't just share what makes a woman want to be close. She also reveals why so many wives slowly grow silent, distant, and lose the desire for intimacy, even when they still love deeply, and what she says might surprise you. Not because it's complicated, but because it's so simple. And yet, it's been forgotten for far too long. And if you've ever asked yourself, what makes a woman want to be close without being pushed? What makes her want to touch you with all her tenderness and sincerity? I invite you to hit subscribe to stay connected for upcoming videos. If this message speaks to you, leave a 1 in the comments. If it doesn't resonate, feel free to leave a enduro. I truly value all your feedback because it helps me create content that truly matters. Because this isn't a video about sex. This is a video about connection, about how two people can find each other again, understand each other again, and love each other again, whether they've been together for a lifetime or are just starting out. If you're ready, then let's begin with the first part. Most men think that when a woman rejects intimacy, it's because she no longer loves them. But the truth is often the opposite. She doesn't pull away because the love is gone. She pulls away because she no longer feels safe enough to open up. This is the deeper essence of intimacy that so few truly understand. Intimacy doesn't begin with the physical. It begins with emotional safety. When a woman feels seen, heard, and valued, intimacy flows naturally from within her. But when she feels emotionally abandoned, dismissed, or invisible in the eyes of the man who once cherished her, even if she still loves him, she will start to close off. A man once told me, his voice tired and lost, "We're like two roommates now. She doesn't touch me anymore. No more tender looks. No more smiles when I walk through the door." When I asked him a simple question, "Do you remember the last time you made her feel special?" he was silent, not because he didn't love his wife, but because, in the busyness of life, he had forgotten how to show it. The problem isn't time passing or aging bodies. It's the emotions lost in the little things. A woman doesn't need weekly bouquets or fancy dinners. She needs to feel appreciated every day. She needs to feel that in her man's heart. She's still as important as she was in the beginning, and here lies the most common mistake many men make. They think love, once established, will sustain itself. Like a house. Once built, they think it doesn't need maintenance. But love doesn't work like architecture. It's more like a garden. If you don't water it, trim it, and care for it daily, the flowers will wilt, the leaves will dry, and the most beautiful parts will quietly fade away. There are 3 common mistakes that make women lose the desire for intimacy, even when they still love. First, believing that love after marriage is stable and needs no nurturing. Many men stop putting in effort once they feel settled down. The little things they used to do while dating, sending a random message, looking into her eyes and saying, "I'm proud to have you," slowly disappear. But for women, emotions need constant nourishment. Stability doesn't keep love alive. Attentiveness does. Second, neglecting the small details. Many men think providing financially is enough. But for women, value isn't measured in bank accounts. It's felt in being noticed. when you no longer remember what kind of tea she likes, or overlook the sadness in her eyes after a long day. She starts to feel like she's no longer the center of your world. Third, treating intimacy like a transaction. A touch or an affectionate gesture no longer comes from emotion, but from need, and women sense that deeply. She can tell the difference between a kiss born from love and a kiss done out of obligation. When intimacy becomes a duty instead of a connection, it loses its soul. We must understand that physical closeness isn't the goal, it's the result. It naturally follows when two people feel safe with each other, when a woman feels she's being listened to without judgment, touched without expectation, and loved without condition. She will open up naturally. Imagine a couple. In the beginning, they stay up late just talking. They remember every little detail about each other. They go out of their way to make each other smile with just a glance or a sticky note on the fridge. But years later, those things disappear. Not because they stopped loving, but because they thought they no longer had to do them. And from there, she stops feeling seen. She starts to withdraw quietly and gently, like a door slowly closing. But the beautiful thing is, that door can be opened again, with small things, with a returning look in your eyes, with sitting down beside her on an ordinary evening and asking, "Are you okay? I want to hear you," not to fix anything, just to be present. True intimacy doesn't start in the bedroom. It starts in the kitchen when you're doing the dishes together and talking. It starts in the living room when you put your phone down and sit beside her without rushing. It starts when you touch her back just to say, "I'm here, and I'm always here." Intimacy is a feeling, and feelings cannot be forced. They only grow in an environment of safety. A woman who is loved the right way will naturally crave closeness, not out of duty, not out of compromise, but because she still feels important, still feels loved, like she did in the beginning. And if you're wondering, how do I get her back? The answer isn't in the bedroom. It's in the everyday moments where you make her feel valued, noticed, and heard. When that happens, intimacy won't need to be asked for. It will come on its own. That 92-year-old woman didn't need to say much. Just with her calm gaze and a slow, steady voice filled with a lifetime of experience, she made people pause and listen. When I asked her what truly makes a woman want to offer intimacy, she didn't hesitate. She said, "A woman will give you everything when she feels protected, heard, and loved without needing a reason." That sentence, simple as it is, carries the weight of an entire married life. It's not age that drives a woman away. It's not wrinkles, time, or hormones that make her pull back. It's the cooling of emotions, prolonged indifference, and silent withdrawal with no explanation that cause her to retreat from the intimate space that once felt safe for both. She shared that in her 20s, she used to think passion just comes and goes naturally. But after 60 years beside one man, she came to understand passion doesn't just fade on its own. It gets slowly drained, bit by bit, through the days without check-ins, without warm touches, without the quiet glances that once said, "I see you." Intimacy can't be sustained through a one-time effort or an expensive gift. It lives on through the smallest things, the most ordinary, but the most important. Think about the difference between two ways of speaking. One man tells his wife, "You're beautiful," and keeps walking. Another looks at her, gently holds her hand and whispers, "Your eyes make me feel like I'm home." Both are compliments, but only one reaches the heart. Or picture a hug that comes after the man gently pulls his wife into his arms. No motive, no expectations, no implications, just a hug. Just to say, "I'm here. You're not alone." That is a touch without an agenda, and it holds more power than any physical intimacy ever could. Women experience the world not just through words, but through presence. If she sees that you truly listen, remember what she says, and act from that. understanding. She will feel safe, and from that feeling of safety, desire is born, not from the body but from the soul. Modern neuroscience has proven this. When a woman feels genuinely loved, embraced, respected, and deeply connected, her body releases a hormone called oxytocin, often referred to as the bonding hormone. It brings about feelings of trust, relaxation, and increases the desire for closeness. On the other hand, when she feels ignored, dismissed, or expected to perform without appreciation, oxytocin is not released, and intimacy becomes a burden. This means if you want to rekindle passion, you don't need to change your appearance or hunt for bedroom tricks. What you need is to create the right emotional environment, one where she feels loved without having to try. Imagine your relationship as an emotional bank account. Every time you do something small to show care, a gentle touch, a simple question, a quiet act, you're making a deposit into that account. When the balance is full, she feels full enough to give. But if you only withdraw, whether unintentionally or from being too busy, the account eventually runs dry. And when it does, there's nothing left to offer, even intimacy. A husband may no longer be young, agile, or sharply dressed, but if every day he still sits beside his wife, places a hand on her shoulder, and truly listens to the little things in her heart, then that connection will be deeper than any youthful couples. And the miracle is, when a woman feels connected, she becomes more beautiful. Not from makeup, but from the light that's rekindled inside her. The problem is this: many men don't know that. They assume that if intimacy fades, maybe love has faded too. They think they must do something grand to win her back, but they forget grand gestures are only the outer expression. What women truly crave isn't to be dazzled, it's to feel needed, loved, and seen. That elderly woman once told me, with a hint of laughter in her voice, "My husband never bought me flowers, but every morning he brushed my hair in front of the mirror, and I still remember how gentle his hands were, and the way he looked at me, like I was his whole world." And then she added, "Women don't remember gifts. Women remember feelings." So if you're looking for a way to rekindle passion, you don't need to start from something big. Start with one small act today. Ask her, "Do you feel me beside you?" And then be patient with her answer. Don't interrupt, don't get defensive, just listen. That's the first step, and the most important one, to rebuild a bridge that may have cracked, because true closeness can't be forced. It doesn't come from desire, it comes from safety. It isn't built from flesh, it's built from feeling. And if you're gentle enough, sincere enough, and patient enough to understand that, then no matter how old you are, love can rise again. Not the kind of love from the early days, but a love deeper, steadier, and more radiant than ever before. If there's one thing you can do today to change your relationship, it's not something big. Not a grand gift, not a vacation, not flowery words, just 3 simple actions. But if you do them with sincerity and patience, they can change everything. The first is to truly listen. No interrupting, no trying to fix things, no rushing to give advice. Just be present and listen. When a woman feels truly heard, she begins to feel safe. Safe to open up, safe to be vulnerable. And that is where emotions begin. Try asking her gently but clearly, "Do you feel heard and understood?" And then, whatever her answer is, don't react, just keep listening. The second is to touch with love, without expectation. A surprise hug in the middle of the day, holding her hand while you're cooking together. A soft kiss on the forehead before you leave the house, not to start something, but to say, "I'm here and I love you." When a woman feels loved without pressure, she begins to want closeness. She wants to reach out, not out of obligation, but because her heart is moved to. And finally, do the little things that make her feel remembered. Nothing grand, just thoughtfulness. She mentioned a big meeting tomorrow. Send her a message wishing her luck. She's stressed about the kids. Bring her a warm drink and leave it by the bed. These acts may be so small that others don't notice, but to a woman, they're proof that you're still thinking about her. And sometimes the feeling of being remembered is more powerful than words of love. Let me tell you the story of Mark and Lisa. They had been together for over 25 years. But one day, Mark realized Lisa had changed. She spoke less, laughed less, and hardly wanted to be close anymore. Mark tried everything, working out to look younger, buying surprise gifts, planning weekend getaways, but nothing changed. Until one evening, he sat beside her and said nothing at all. He simply asked, "How did you feel today?" And then he sat there, silently listening. No interruptions, no follow-up questions, no fixing. For the first time in years, Lisa cried. She said, "I feel like I've come back to myself. I thought you didn't see me anymore." And from that night, something returned between them. Not dramatic, not loud, but real and warm. Maybe you're thinking, is that really enough? But the truth is, women don't need you to be perfect. They need you to be genuine. She doesn't expect you to understand everything. She just needs you to be willing to listen, to notice, and to act from a place of real love. Remember, she didn't grow distant because she stopped loving you. She's just waiting for you to create a space safe enough for her to come back. And you can start today. No long-term plan. No need to become someone else. Just ask her one simple question. Do you feel understood? And when she answers, look her in the eyes and listen with your whole heart. Because in the end, intimacy doesn't come from effort alone. It comes from understanding. And when a woman feels truly understood, she naturally draws closer. Not because she's being pushed, but because she wants to. Not out of duty, but because she feels rightly loved. Before you leave, ask yourself, am I making her feel safe, seen, and loved? If the answer is no, don't feel discouraged, because you can start again today. And if this message speaks to you, I have an invitation. Write in the comments one small thing you can do today to help her feel more understood. I'll read every response. And I believe that from those shared intentions, you won't just change your own story, you might inspire someone else's too. She doesn't need you to be perfect. She needs you to be sincere, patient, present. And if you can do that, everything you thought was lost, passion, intimacy, and connection will return, not by magic, but by truth. A simple, powerful truth. Love is still there, just waiting for you to reach out and take it.